Hey, how's it going out there, everybody? It's your boy from Brooklyn, Chef Shannon Ambrosio. Just saying, it's Sunday, folks, so it's time for another Everything and Nothing podcast. So that's what's going on today of all days. Now, you'll notice, let's just get this out right now. You'll notice if I have a tendency to look up above the camera, it's because I changed the camera setting, the monitor and the camera setting on my rolling stand that I do that I film the podcast from. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm not looking up, but if you catch me doing this, that's because I'm staring at the screen. All right. So I tried a little different of a setup this time around because I'm trying to get everything to look really well, except for me, right? Because I have a tendency to stare up at the screen to see where I'm framed. And that's my bad, folks. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but that's the way it goes.
Oh, hell no.
Yes. I'm so sorry. You know me. Let's say my OCD sometimes is my demise, and that's the truth right there. I can't help but think of it any differently, that my demise is, that my OCD sometimes is my demise. It's the good thing that helps me get things done, but it's also my demise, because I'm never satisfied with good enough is good enough, if that makes any sense to you out there, folks, and anybody who suffers from the same thing that I do, which is the idea that nothing is ever going to be perfect, but I will sure as heck try my hardest to make sure I can get as close as I possibly can. Right, we got Thomas already. Yo, what up, Thomas? Sandra's with us. Hello, Sandra. How are you? Hope everybody's doing well on this amazing Sunday. Sunday of all good days is the Sunday, right? Sunday. Come on, it's in the name. It's in the day's name. It's a Sunday. So we all hope for sunny days every day, but especially on Sunday. Sunny Sundays is a great way to start the day. And it was. Today was a little overcast out by me, and a little rainy on and off. But not too bad, because the weather, yo, what's up, Jimmy Daly is with us. Yo, Jimmy, what are you doing, Jimmy? What's going on, Jimmy boy? I hope you got some tape and knives out. And that's what's going on. It's Sunday. And I can't help but think about a lot of things, especially today, because in lieu of what's happening around the world is just absolutely, it's heartbreaking to me at this point, just in general. And that's how I feel about that. To me, it's just generalized as heartbreaking to think about the things that are happening around the globe right now, to us and to everybody else. It's just, it's a threatening sense for humanity just in general. And I'll go through some of that during the podcast. But hey, let's get this out right away. Let's do this, folks. Let's make sure we don't forget. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. It really does help. It helps the algorithm. It helps me. It helps the podcast. It helps you guys, because if you're subscribed and the algorithm gets a hold of you, then there's no telling what can happen. So make sure you subscribe to the channel right there. That helps out a whole lot. And me is with us. Everyone loses in war. You ain't kidding. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Anybody who is and anybody who is now subscribed. All right. And don't forget to get your bell rung, folks. Get your bell rung and ring the bell next to the subscribe button so you get notified when I put a video up on my YouTube channel. That helps a lot. It really does, right? Because if you ring the bell, it lets YouTube know, like, hey, yo, this guy's content's not so bad. I even want to know when he puts new stuff up. And they're like, yo, he may be all right, that Shannon, that guy right there with the Everything and Nothing podcast. So get your bell rung. All right, all right. And if you don't know, now you know. I'm on all those social medias right there. You'll find them in the description below. So if you want to follow me on any of my social media, just look at those social medias right there and follow me. Just be friends with me wherever I am, wherever I go. Hey, follow if you follow me. That's the truth right there. And don't forget, listen, if you have any questions and comments, and I really implore everybody, open up the dialogue for everything that's happening here. And especially on my channel, right? Because I tend to have an array, a wide array of conversations and things that we should be thinking about on a daily basis, no matter what. Donnell is with us. How are you? Did I say hello to Mia? Yes, Mia, hello. So do that right there. Leave any questions or comments you may have. Leave them below so that this way we can open up the dialogue, and anybody else that's watching, listening, and all those other things. And speaking of listening, here we go. Listen to this one right here. If you can't help it, right there, you could find my podcast on all these other audio platforms. And I'm not even going to try and point the finger over in that direction because I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's over. Well then, do you make 17 different kinds of donuts every day? Anyway, so over there you will find all the links to my podcast, which are on all the audio platforms. Well, those audio platforms, anyway. I wouldn't necessarily know if it's every one of them because I don't know a whole lot of audio platforms for podcasting, but there's a couple of them that I'm on right over there. So go over there and listen to my podcast if you can't stand looking at me. I don't know, sometimes my mirror gets mad at me too. I can't help it. I just can't. That's just the way it goes. So do that. Go over there. I'm good. I tell everybody, throw me on in the car, right? On one of those, Spotify, Apple podcasts, whatever those. Throw me on in the car, on the way to work, on the way to work, home from work, going somewhere. Even if you're not going in, if you're just driving aimlessly, throw me on. I'm good for a couple of exits. You heard right there? That's what's up right there. So do that right there. And don't forget, because there's got to be somebody up there, right? Right up there. There's got to be somebody up there who you may want to share this with. They may find me totally hilarious or totally obnoxious, one or the other. But either way, you're going to make somebody happy or you're going to make somebody mad at you. Either way, it's a win-win, right? That's what I got to say about that one right there. You don't have to like me. You just got to listen. Wait a minute here. So do that right there. And you know how it works, folks. Please give me a thumbs up right there if you think I'm all right. As a matter of fact, do it right now. Right now, when we're in the middle of doing all these things right here, you can go down there and hit the thumbs up button right there. Bing, it looks like that one right there. Not this one. Don't do this one. And if you do, I know, because it shows me. I hate to say it, but it tells me who don't like me. I don't want to be on your not like list. All right? So don't do that for me. You understand? I don't want to give you the don't get the goat by giving me the thumbs down. I can't explain that one right there. I want a cooking and eating video about olive oil. Thomas, you are absolutely amazing with your suggestions, but this is the wrong channel for that. Listen, Thomas, you and I are boys. Actually, Thomas and I, listen, Thomas, I'm on the Christmas card list. That's all I got to say. It don't get any better than that, Thomas. You are the man. But leave it on the cooking and eating videos that I have. And speaking of cooking and eating and building and fixing, I'm getting all the plugs out of the way, right off the bat. Let's get this out of the way, being out of the conversation, and then we can carry on. You will find links to all of my other channels, not all of my other channels. I have 2 other channels, okay? Cooking and eating and building and fixing. And the links to those are in the description. And I'm going to get to making an overlay for that one as well. I just haven't gotten around. I have way too many things. Thomas, help me out here, buddy. I have way too many things to get to. And look, Thomas is like, I did already. Thomas, shame on me. But wait a minute. I have good news. Wait, there's more. Like the Ginsu. I did 2 new cooking and eating videos, which will be desserts, which I'm excited about. And I will be posting them. I promise you. I will post one of them up before the end of this coming week. And then I have another one. And then I'll work on some of the other ones, Thomas. Those are great suggestions. And anybody over there, too, that's what I said, in the questions and comments below, please make sure you're leaving a question or a comment or something you'd like to hear about, and we'll discuss it. I mean, that's how this works. That's the greatest thing about this. That's exactly how it works. You guys get to leave comments, I get to read them, and then we make a decision where we move from there. Whether it's yay or nay. Let's get on the yay side, all right? And that's the way that works right there. So, I know, and I know, and I know. It's what's happening now. It's war. It's war. And I have a very funny way about feeling about what's happening right now. And I know there's going to be some really big talks and discussions about this. And I hope one of them happens right here. And that you guys can share and find other people that, you know, have discussions and talk about, whether good, bad, or indifferent, talk about the idea of what's happening now or just the idea of war in general. All right? So I have a lot of mixed feelings about what we're saying, what we're seeing, and I don't know how everybody else is feeling, but basically at this point for me, how I'm feeling about this is this. In this day and age, and I don't know any other day and age, I can only say and kind of quote and feel the way I feel about the time period that I'm alive. I can't feel any different about any other time period because I don't know anything about it. I was not around, I was not alive. And we all know, and we have seen lately, over in the past couple of years especially, okay, is that media, all types of media, has a way of sending their own message to us. And I don't know if it's right or wrong, but the only thing I can do is try and make an educated guess on my own. I have to, and I think all of us out there have to make some kind of educated idea of how we feel about it, okay? Now let's do this. Let's talk about the idea of what America is. America is the youngest of the countries that we know of as far as timeline goes. We're the youngest. We're not even 300 years old. And when you think about 300 years, it really isn't a long period of time. It isn't a long enough period of time, I think, as far as what we assume is history for other countries and how long they've been around in existence, okay? So 300 years or less than 300 years is not a very long time. Let me tell you why I feel that way. I feel that way because I went to go visit a friend of mine today, Mr. Joseph Merla, who I love and adore. He's one of my mentors who basically gave me the stronghold with my hands and my brain to turn me into a carpenter, to turn me into somebody who thinks in a building sense of a way. And his father just turned 100 years old. Let me say this again. His pops just turned 100 years old. And to me, that's an amazing feat, right? For many, many reasons. The feat of that amazement to me is the amount of information that he has seen and with his own eyes way before I was even around, or way before even most of us were around, okay? So he has seen a lot. So when I think about the country that I'm in and the one that I was born in, is that we are still young in comparison to everybody else that's around. And then here's my other dilemma, okay? My other dilemma is this, and this is an intrinsic one, and this one is one that will get rhetoric, and this is one that will get, I'm sure, open dialogue from many people, is that when we, as a country, think about the things that have been done for us to be here in this country, and we have should I say, the nerve or the audacity to think about how other countries handle things. I don't know if it's in our best interest to be pointing fingers or saying anything about anything. Here's the second part of that. I don't think that anyone or anything is controllable or should be controllable by anyone or anything. So let's make that clear right away. Is that I don't think that anybody coming into any place at any time and deciding it's theirs is a good way to be for anything. I don't really care what it is. So I say this, and I posed this question to somebody this week when we were talking about certain things, is that if this is the case, and if this is the way it is, and the way it's been since the dawn of time, since the creation of the upright person, can't say man or woman anymore because you got to say things differently. So any person at any point, when the idea is that we stood upright, I guess at some point, and we decided to roam this planet. We all decided at some point, somewhere in some time period, that that particular place that we were belonged to us as people. And to me, it's not possible. It is not possible for one place to control one place. It is not possible for one person or however many persons that particular place decided were in charge of all the other persons has any right to go into anywhere else and decide it belongs to them. It just doesn't exist. The idea of ownership of this planet in any territory, in any place, at any time, to me, is not conceivable. It's not conceivable to me in the sense that what happens whenever this person or persons decided that this particular place belonged to them, when they are gone? How is it at any time that any people can manipulate and brainwash another set of people for them to think that this particular place is theirs, that they own it? You cannot. You cannot own anything on this planet. I do not care what anybody says. I don't care how many cars. I don't care how many bags of money. I don't care how many bars of gold or gallons of oil you own. You do not own any of it. It is not yours. It does not belong to you. It belongs to whatever this planet decided where it was and how it became. That's who it belongs to. There can be no ownership of anything anywhere on this planet. You can have the most expensive house or live in a cave. And when you are gone, you are gone. It is no longer yours. And it doesn't belong to anybody else to give. It doesn't exist, folks. The idea of owning anything on this planet, especially the planet itself, especially the earth, especially the ground, especially the resources, especially the things that this planet has given us to live and survive. They didn't give it to us. They are letting us use it for whatever it is to keep the rest of us alive. And that's it. The existence of it belongs to the planet. It belongs where it is. It cannot be captured. It cannot be harnessed. As you can see, right? Earth catastrophes happen constantly. Do we control that? We do not. We do not control that. The planet decides what it's going to do when it's going to do it. It doesn't matter if there's people or dinosaurs or anything. It just does not give us this okay or this whisper in anybody's ear to think that any particular place belongs to something or someone. I find that hard to believe. I find it hard to believe to think that at some point we don't realize that we're all the same. We're all the same people. We are no different because there's boundaries or because there were boundaries created by us, that we are any different than each other. if we have the idea and the understanding and the magnitude to think about not hundreds of years, but thousands of years, and the way scientists and the way people discover things constantly, right, is that we've been around for a really long time, and nobody really knows how long, right? Because that's such a false misconception that we have, is that we can put timelines and dates and occurrences expressed in an information that we understand, right? Well, this archaeological dig, or these bones, or these fossils, or these minerals in this area, in this earth, in this amount of earth, equate to this time period. And I say that's impossible. You can never understand that, right? Because at some point we think that the Grand Canyon at some point was underwater, and that most mountains that we see now were also below sea level at one point. How long ago was that? Do we really want to think that we can understand that? We can't. And did the earth belong to humans then, or was it different? Who knows? But I can tell you this. I can tell you that no matter which side you think you're on, I can tell you that if you think that you're a faithful or spiritual or believe in something at some point, that there was some kind of God, no matter what you call him or who you call him or who she is or who he is or what it is, whichever one it may be. If you truly believe that the inception of humankind came from a God, and that he put two people on this planet, and then they procreated, and then created the entire existence of humankind, aren't we all really just a little incestual? I mean, we have to think about those factors in this case, right? When it comes to something like this, we think we're so civilized to understand each other as humans, but we're not. Because we still have this idea that there's a value on something or something in some place at some time. And there really isn't. There's really no value in anything. There's no value. We create a value. So we give each other a value, right? And even if you believe the other side of that story, even if it was the Big Bang Theory, right? And boom, it was created. It had to start somewhere. It had to start with however many people or things that were here on this planet. And we had to procreate, and we had to keep existing together in order for us to get as far as we are now, with these many people all over this planet. And how is it that if we've been around for such a long time, how is it that us as a race of whatever it is on this planet at this time, how is it that we have not figured out a way for us to cohabitate and exist together? I mean, when we talk about the existence of things besides natural catastrophes, there is a way for things to destroy other things. There always has been, right? And if we think about it in that fashion, as to, when we think about it, animals at one point, roamed the earth and they controlled whatever it was. But then we came about, and then we took over, right? So we moved everything else out of the way, and then now we're here. So how is it, in all the intelligence and all the understanding that we think we have between, like I said, I don't care what it is now, right? Whether it's science, whether it's faith, whether it's just smart people talking to us about certain things, why isn't it that we haven't figured out a way to coexist together? Why? And why is war so important to us? Why is it so important for us to create boundaries and put each other in different places, in not only who we are, but where we are? And why? Does it mean that one place is worth more than another place? I mean, I don't think so. I would hope not. I would hope that wouldn't be the reason for it. I hope that it's just not the idea of domination. I hope there's a better reason or a better principle as to why it happens. But we haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen it yet. We have not seen that in existence of my time. And from what I've read in history books so far, from what has happened in the past, is that we haven't even tried. We haven't even tried to do that yet. We haven't tried to figure out what peaceful times would be for everyone. We haven't figured that out. We think it's more important to have a defense than it is to just be who we are or just exist how we are. We find it more important to have those things, to give a value for people, to give a value for places, to create these boundaries for ourselves. And we do it. We do it consciously and unconsciously, right? Because when you think about where you're from, right, they tell you to be patriotic. But what does that patriotic really mean? Are we all really patriotic for where we're from? I think so. I think everybody has this idea that they feel a certain connection to the places maybe they were born or the places they were raised or where good memories were made. But when you think about it, the idea of memories can be made everywhere. They can. They can be made just as easy here as they are somewhere else. And isn't that truly what I think all humans are looking for, a connection to another human? And can we not find a connection from another human in a different place? I mean, I think so. I think that there's a possibility that we all can. Unless we keep the boundaries. Unless we keep creating the boundaries. It'll never happen. We will never see that time. And in my history books and every book that I've read, and my understanding is that it's never been peace. It's never been peaceful. It has always just been war. It's always been wartime. Somewhere at some point. It has. And I say, isn't there a way that we could try it the other way? Isn't there a way we can just say that it doesn't really matter? It doesn't really matter if you don't speak the same language. It doesn't really matter if you believe in the same thing. It doesn't really matter if you look the same. Couldn't it all just be peace? Couldn't it all just be peaceful? How wonderful would that be? How wonderful would it be if us as humans, that's basically that's the basis of what we are. We're all humans. Well, that's the title they gave us anyway. I mean, we don't know if anything else exists out there. I mean, I have a feeling there has to be something, right? Who knows? But I still can't believe that it's just us. And that's it. I don't know. That's for a different discussion somewhere else. Yeah, that one's a little, it's a little off the edge, right? Because we haven't no tangible evidence, or we think we don't anyway, that something else does exist besides whatever was from this planet at some point, right? We don't know. And we don't know why we haven't seen it yet. And so far, I mean, in my lifetime, but I also mean in the history books and the way things have gone, right? We have stories of what we think may have happened somewhere at some time, but we're not really sure. We don't know. Nobody really knows. Well, if somebody does, they're not telling anybody, that's for sure, right? But I just think that it would be a wonderful, wonderful thing to understand that if I think these people that call themselves so-called leaders of, nations, countries, continents, I don't care where it is, sovereign state, socialist government, communist government, democratic, I don't know. We don't know. We have not all come up with this idea yet, is that we could all just live together. We could all just be peaceful to each other, for each other. We as the people, and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, is that we as the people get to make that decision. And I think at some point in some time, we, the people, have given up that idea that we can control what is happening now, much more than we think. And we see that a lot, right? Yo, my boy Izzy's, what's up, Iz? And I think that's the most difficult thing for us, I think, at this point, because we're seeing it firsthand right now. And I know a lot of people don't want to think back in their life and times, right? And I do, right? And I've seen and I've been alive during so many wars so far that even from the day I was born till today, There has never been a time period in my entire life, the whole 50 some odd years that I am on this planet, that's what's up, is that there has not been a war somewhere at some time. And to me, for the humankind and the human race, that to me is both. It's a travesty. It's a travesty that us, as human beings and as civilized as we say and think we are, and that we're great thinkers, and that we're great people, and we can do so many things, create so many things, that we cannot create peace. How is it that we cannot create peace? Right? How is it that we cannot create that one thing that everybody says they want? No matter who you talk to, no matter which side they are on, no matter what country they live in, no matter which leaders of any one particular thing, as small as as minuscule as like team leaders in certain towns and countries and regions and all these things, and everybody talks about the same thing at the end of when they say things, all we're looking for is peace. I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry. And this right here is my 2-minute rant. Okay? Here, this thing right here, this is my 2-minute rant. For all you folks out there that call yourselves leaders everywhere on every walk, when you say at the end of every speech that you have is that all we are looking for is peace, it isn't something that you need to look for. Peace is something you are. Peaceful is something you can be. It is not something that you can get. You cannot go and take peace from anybody or anything. It does not have it. The peace has to belong to you. You have to be peaceful in order for peace to be out, in order for it to exist. You just have to be at peace. And then it happens. It does not need to be figured. It is not a math equation. It is not some thinker off in a closet somewhere saying to himself, these are the things we need to do. It just needs to be. It just needs to be peace. And then it will be peaceful. And it can't happen any other way. It just cannot. So I say to everybody out there who calls themselves a leader or leaders of people, you lead your people to peace. You do not lead your people to war and expect peace. It can't happen that way. You can't put the cart before the horse this time. It's getting harder and harder. And us, as the people, and I always use this, we the people, and I mean all the people all over the entire planet, we are the ones that achieve the peace. Not the ones and the leaders out there that are telling us that we need to be peaceful in their way. That's not the way peacefulness happens. And I'm not saying that we all need to sit with our hands at our sides and not do anything at any time. What I'm saying is that it has to be done for everybody so that we all understand that it can happen. We have to decide at some point that it needs to be peaceful. And that's how it works. It doesn't work the other way around. So I'm asking all the leaders out there, everywhere, every place, understand we're all the same. We are. And we all want the same peace. We don't need to fight to get it. We just don't. It's there. We have to let the peace do what it's supposed to do. And that's the only way it can happen. And that's the truth. Because if every act of violence and domination is what people think is what works, might is always right and everything else is wrong, then most of us are wrong. Because I know sitting in my living room when I was a kid and watching press in the Vietnam War was not something that I asked for. And I'm sure it's not something that everybody else at that time asked for. And I'm sure what's happening now, the people together gathering didn't ask for this. They just didn't. We gave up that right to other people because we trusted them as leaders to understand that everybody's important and that every life and everything matters here. Because without it, there's nothing. There just isn't. There will be nothing. And nothing, and I don't know if anybody knows math that well as me, but nothing from nothing is nothing. You can't get peace with nothing. You can't get war with nothing. You can't get anything from nothing. And I think that's a direction we are slowly but surely in the last couple of years, it's been sped up, I think, quite a few years. And I think we need to slow it down. I think we need to have the train at some point make a couple of stops so that we could pick up some more loving passengers and some more peaceful people. Because the way it's happening now, I don't think anybody wants to see the peace. I think that we've given up that idea that these leaders that we call leaders are truly looking for peace. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think they're looking for something else. And they didn't let us know what it is. They just telling us what it is. I have a hard time with that one, folks. We all know that. I speak about that a lot. And lately it's kind of making me feel differently about everything, about every place, about all these people that we've given this false understanding of leadership roles of any place at any time. And I don't pick sides. The only side I pick is the side of us, the humans, the one that make up the people that walk on this planet. And the animals too. I mean, I got some room in them too. But you get the idea of what I'm saying is that, yes, and I'm sure if the animals could speak up too, they'd say the same thing. They'd be telling us too, it's like, hey, leave this little spot over here for us. You don't need to have everything everywhere, right? At some point, they'd probably speak up again, at some point and say, hey, listen, whoa, let's slow this down just a little bit. We seem to be moving a little bit too fast. And maybe that's the idea of it too, right? Because maybe there's just so many of us growing constantly in such a massive rate, is that maybe we're all afraid that we're all going to eventually just consume every square inch of the planet. And maybe, there are a lot of people out there getting scared about that. Who knows? I don't know. I can't answer that question. I don't think anybody else can either, right? I don't think anybody else out there, I don't care, scientist, faith believer, witch doctor, I don't care, alien, I don't think anybody can predict that idea of what's going to happen in the future. But I can tell you this, right? According to scientists and what even people who believe in certain faiths know, that at some point we weren't here. And at some point there was something else here. And they killed each other off, I guess, at some point. Or something happened and they weren't here anymore. And then all of a sudden we came about, right? I mean, that's the understanding we all think about. So who's to say it can't happen again? And here's the question for everybody out there. And please feel free to just throw some of those, questions and comments down there, is that when we don't know when we started and we don't know when the other ones ended. And it could be any day. Isn't that funny? We can't predict the future. Not one bit. Not one iota. We can't even predict the weather. We all seen it, right? You go on the news and the weatherman's like, it's going to be 85 and sunny tomorrow. And then tomorrow, all of a sudden, boom, rain, snow, sleet, hail. And all of a sudden, there's things turning upside down, water coming up, water going down, things crushed. You can't. You cannot. Nobody can predict the future. It's just not possible. Okay? We can have certain things that may lead us into a direction where we think it's going, but nobody can, because it could be all over tomorrow, today, right during this podcast. And maybe they're just targeting me. Who knows? I don't have all the answers. But not all the answers. I don't think anybody wants all the answers. And if there is somebody out there with all the answers, please leave it in the questions and comments below. Because I'm very curious. about how we think going to war with anybody or being in a war with anybody is going to solve anything. It just won't. It just will not, right? And I was saying before, where does war start? It starts on such a small scale, right? It can be anywhere and can happen at any time, right? Because, again, what stops me or stops 2 houses down from me, what stops those people from deciding that this is their house? What stops them? You know what stops them? Your heart, your inner voice, your inner humane person that you are says, I can't do that. It's just not right. You just can't. And I know there's going to be things said, and yes, here in this country, things happened, and they are the way they are now. And it's a horrible thing to say, is that, well, you just have to move past it. My goodness, we've all been moving past it for a really long time. And it has to be stopped. Looking past it has to be stopped. It just does. And we have to start just being people to people. We just have to start making sure the connections and the distances between us grow shorter, and we become more of one type. And I'm not saying biologically and all that other stuff that's happening now. I'm just talking about connections from people to people. Me to you, and you to me, and then us to around the world, for everybody. It has to happen at some point. We have to decide to be connected to each other, because we could be the next on the extinction list. We just could. And we may not know it yet, right? We may not understand that we may be the ones on the extinction list. And I don't want to be on the extinction list yet. I know there's some years left here on this planet for me, and however many they are. And I don't know. And nobody can, we're all gamblers when we wake up in the morning. If we wake up. So I want to gamble on the idea that I can breathe the air the way I want. I can see the things that I want. I can go into places that I want. I don't have to be told and led. I don't have to be restricted or misunderstood or any of these things. I just get to be like you. And that's it. We have to find this peace at some point in time. We do. It's important. I just find it I find this planet wonderful, because I don't know any other planet. I haven't been anywhere else on another planet. But I can tell you this one's pretty wonderful so far, right? It's given us everything we need to live and survive. The planet has given it to us. So we have to decide at some point that it doesn't belong to us. It just doesn't. And because we choose to live however many years we have alive, however much energy our body stores enough for us to exist for as long as we can exist, we have to figure on this place that we live on, because it's going to be here long after I'm here and long after you're here. And whoever else who thinks they're in charge at this point, right? All these leaders out here. This place will be here after you're gone. And somebody else will try and do the same thing and try and lead massive amounts of people to doing the same thing and doing their bidding. And I say at some point we have to stop it. And at some point we have to do our own bidding. Like I said, if everybody decided tomorrow not to do something, listen to me. If we all decided tomorrow not to do something, they couldn't stop us. They couldn't. There's just not enough of them out there to stop us from being peaceful. There's not enough of them. You put it down. You say, no, this is not happening. Not me as a human to another human deciding that they belong there or here, or they get to say this or they get to say that. No one human should tell another human they can or they cannot. It's not their choices. It's our choices to make sure. That's the most important part. That at some point in our lives that we find that humanity in each other to decide that we're all the same. We're all the same. Without the air that we breathe, okay? Without the air we breathe, nobody would be here. So we all do the same thing every single day. All of us breathe air and breathe life into our bodies to make us exist. And that is the biggest commonality we all have on this entire planet, is we all breathe the same air to do the same thing, and that's live. And isn't living better than not living? We should do that for each other. That's the truth. Because I'll miss you. Because I'm going to be here. I'm like Superman's kryptonite here. Okay? They can't get rid of me till I decide. That's the truth, right? That's no joke. And sometimes you have to laugh. Matter of fact, all the time you have to laugh. Because if you don't...
My God, are you still talking?
I'm going to keep talking. And that's what I'm going to keep doing. So you can bet on that one. That's the truth right there.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
This guy right here cares whether or not somebody from somewhere else is thinking the same thing I'm thinking and wants to say the same thing I'm saying. And everybody should. We all should. We should all say something. And maybe we should all say it at one time. How great would that be? And the one thing we all have to say, that's it. There's only one word that you have to say. Peace. That's it. You want something else? You get to go in the corner. Like little Jack Horner. That's how it should work. You should get a timeout. You should be put in the corner and get a timeout until you realize that what it is that your message isn't good for everybody. It's only good for you. And if it's yours, you should keep it to yourself. And that's a fact. And folks, that's how I feel about war. What's it good for? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I know it creates a lot of funny business with everybody. And I don't think that's a great way to be. We're all in this together. And I know, listen to me. We all know we don't get out alive. You just don't. So whatever chaos you leaders out there are causing right now, you're not going to have to live with it forever. Because when you're gone, somebody else is going to be there. And they're going to have to deal with it. So take it with you. Take all that nonsense that you think that you have rights to this planet. Take it. And take it with you. Wherever you want to go. Just don't bring it around the rest of us. That's a good message. I like that message. You know? But, so I want to read something. Okay? I want to read something. Okay? Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Okay? Imagine all the people living life in peace. In peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. As one. Just one. No dividing lines. No nonsensical idea of you belong here and you belong there. The world, it belongs to us, all of us, at the same time, at any time. Okay? Mr. John Winston Lennon. Come on. Imagine a world of peace. Imagine a world where we just didn't need as much as we think we need. How wonderful that would be. It's a great thing, folks. It just is. Sometimes we have to listen to the messages, and sometimes we have to pay a little bit more attention. And we'll see it. It'll be there. You know, I was saying earlier, I had a wonderful morning and afternoon with my brother, and I say brother because he is. Talking with Mr. Joe Merla, who's one of my mentors and one of the most amazing persons. I was talking about his father earlier, right? Because Joe Merla Sr. is 100 years old. Listen to me, I don't care what anybody says. I know somebody that's 100 years old, and I don't care. That's wonderful. How wonderful is that? And then to me, to imagine that if things were different, and he's a veteran too, but if things were different, how I wouldn't have had that opportunity to know these great people in my life, right? And sometimes, yeah, I'm going to put something up on deck, and sometimes you'll see here, and I just think it's great. No, I love the birds.
More Russian babies. These guys, when they fly, they go up like a mile high. You don't even see them.
And you don't see them anymore. You just don't see them. And when you think about it, does that bird right there, that beautiful bird, does that bird care that this country thinks it owns that land, or that country owns that land, or how patriotic you are, or how patriotic I am, or whatever the case may be? That bird right there does not care, because it knows it doesn't belong to anybody. Because look at these wonderful, wonderful creatures. And look at the idea that they can fly. So do they really care what we think about what we think we own? Not one bit. They don't even care. Because they know it doesn't matter in the end. It just doesn't. We don't have to own anything. I say that as I love to go see Joe's coop because I love the birds. And we have these lovely animals, you know, like they say, in cages, whatever the case may be. But the idea that there's other things here besides us, and how we should be more, really what we should be in our lifetimes with people and anything else that we come in contact with, is that we should be in awe constantly about us and about anything else that's around us at any given time. Even the train in the background that's making the horn noise. Is that we're all here existing at the same time. And how wonderful is that? How wonderful is the fact that we can exist all at the same time right now? Whether, I don't care, plant, animal, human, I don't care, bird, reptile, I don't care what it is. How amazing is it that we are all here on this planet existing at the same time, simultaneously, without a clue of how it's all going to play out. Not one clue about how this will play out. We don't know. And anybody who thinks they do is full of it. That's the truth. If you think you got control over something, wait till tomorrow. It will be new. And it will be the newest experience that you have at that time in your life. Because it will have never had happened before. And to think that these leaders are dragging us into places we do not want to be, nor places we do not want to go, to do things we do not want to do. They have the audacity to tell us that we don't mean anything to each other. And I say that's not true. I say there's peace there. I say there's a peace and peacefulness for us all. And we should be thinking about that constantly. And that's enough how I feel about that. And today, we know who's getting the goat. All you leaders out there, and you're getting the goat twice today. You're getting the goat twice because you didn't think about anybody else but yourselves. And it's got to stop. So you're getting the goat. That's the truth. Bing, bang, boom, Bob's your uncle. And that's all I got time for today, folks. Don't let it get you. Keep peace from peacefulness inside you, or who you are. And hopefully at some point it'll find its ripple effect and trickle out there amongst everybody else at some point. And maybe one day, I don't know when, because again, I cannot tell the future, but maybe one day we all who are on this planet will understand that we're all in this together. We have to, at some point. Otherwise, history will repeat itself, and we will be extinct. And that's it, folks. That's my message, and you know how it goes. Every day is a good day. And if you give a smile, you gon' get a smile. Believe me when I tell you, especially now in these times, we all need them smiles. I don't care where you are or who you're with. Please, smile, because it's contagious. It's better than the other thing. All right. I gotta go. Peace out.